Hi everybody, I'm Margaret Lewin and this is Margaret Lewin Quilting. Today I'm going to show you how I went about quilting this quilt. I'm going to insert pictures. I think I managed to get some pretty good ones of the actual quilting itself. This quilt was made for the intention of putting in a quilt shop to show off my quilting. So once I get the binding on, which is a really scrappy makeup of this fabric, what I did when I was cutting the strips was I just cut 2.5 inch strips off of every fat quarter so that I had some fabric for the binding. So the binding is going to be really scrappy to match the border. And if you'd like to see how I went about quilting it, stay tuned and I will show you. All right, I've got my cat's cradle quilt on the long arm and I'm getting ready to quilt it. A couple of things that I want to caution everybody on. When you look at your threads, really the only way to tell the color is to take a good chunk of the thread off the spool. This is white linen by King Tut, and just I know this is what it's going to match and this is what I want to use. But see, I've taken a bunch of it and laid it across the quilt to make sure that I like it. This is an actual white thread. This one is called Temple. It's also a King Tut thread. And many of you would think that this is just a really white. Well, if I take a bright white and lay it next to that, I hope you can see what that looks like. It just is stark and it almost makes my background fabric look as if it's dirty. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get this threaded and then I'm going to show you what I've picked for quilting on this one. All right, I'm all threaded here and I'm ready to go. There are a couple things about this pattern that I needed to keep in mind when I was picking out my design. The first thing is that this quilt is going to be used as a piece in a quilt shop to show off my quilting. So there's two things that I wanted to accomplish with this. I want to show off my quilting, but I also want to show my piecing. So on this part of the quilt, the 4 big blocks, I really want those more open. I don't want those real tightly quilted, but on these background pieces, I do want it tightly quilted. And then I've got 2 borders to deal with. At this point, I truly haven't decided if I'm going to combine these 2 borders into one pattern or if I'm going to use 2 different ones. I'll decide that here very soon, but I haven't decided yet. So this is where I'm at right now. I've picked out the January of 2016 Pennsylvania Dutch Silver collection. Now this is a collection that is done by Ann Bright, and I belong to a club, so every single month I get new patterns. I'm going to do this P Dutch 8T block in the open block, the big center block, and then I'm going to do, I believe, the P Dutch 4 block, which is far more open, doesn't have as much heavy quilting in it, in the pieced blocks. Then I'm going to do the Dutch quad in the triangles and probably the Dutch single in the 4 corner blocks. So I think that's where I'm at. The only thing that I have not completely decided is the borders. I may use the Dutch 4 rectangle by 8 rectangle, or I may use the Dutch single and put that together. Haven't decided that, but I'll let you know once I get to it. So I'm going to start this quilting, and what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to start by quilting these top triangles first to secure it along the top. Then I will do these triangles. Then I'll come down and do this center down here, the bottom. And the very last thing I'm going to do on this one actually is the borders. Mostly because I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. And in the meantime, I'm just going to baste around this to hold it pretty secure because I am going to get some pretty dense quilting going here. So I'm going to lay out my patterns and get stitching, and I'll take pictures as I go so you can see what it looks like. I have moved the light off the long arm so that you can see a little bit better. But this is what I've done at this point. I've gotten the 3 top triangles all quilted, and you can see that it's pretty puffy. One of the reasons why it's so puffy is because I have double batted this. So there's 2 layers of Quilter's Dream Select cotton batting in this. Now, I've done this because I want to achieve this puffiness. It's going to be a wall hanging and I want it to stand out. So that's why I've done it. And I wanted to let you know that. Now, each one of these patterns also had to be put in there individually. So I couldn't set up the computer so that it would stitch all 3 of them at once. Because what happens when you do heavy stitching is it can have a tendency of gathering up the material a little bit, so my points would not have been on, so that's why it had to be done individually. So what I've used so far is I've used the Dutch P double, and that was done in the 2 outside triangles, and then I used the P Dutch quad in this one. So now I'm going to switch gears and I'm going to quilt. I'm going to actually advance the quilt a little bit, but I'm going to quilt this block and this block, these 2 blocks next. Now on these 2, I'm going to use this Dutch P4 block, or P Dutch 4 block, excuse me. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want this not quilted as densely as I want the solid block. So I'm going to do that on these 2 blocks, and I'll come back and show you what it looks like once that's done. I have finished quilting the 2 piece blocks, so now I'm going to be working on these 3, so I'm already down to the center. And what I'll do this time is I'll come back once I'm ready to do my border, just because I'm going to keep duplicating what it is that I've done, with the exception of the center block, which is going to be a little bit denser quilted. Enjoyed seeing how I quilted my cat's cradle quilt. I'm really happy the way it came out. I like the fact that I double batted it. I think by using 2 layers of batting, it gives it a little bit more dimension. I potentially might have used wool, except for wool is a little bit yellowish, so I didn't want to cast a shadow on the fabric to change the color of the fabric. So I used Quilter's Dream Select Cotton White batting, and it's 100% cotton. Quilter's Dream is really my favorite batting. That's the one that's my preferential batting. If I can pick which one I want, that's normally the one I want. So that's how I quilted it. The quilting on this quilt, all of it ended up being from Ann Bright's collections, and they were both from a January of 2016 collection. The border was a not directional Pennsylvania Dutch border, and the patterns inside are all from the silver Pennsylvania Dutch collection that is January of 2016. So I hope you really like the way it came out. I'm thrilled with the way it came out. I was going to quilt it even denser than what I ended up doing, but I'm glad that I didn't. I'm very happy with the way it looks. So I'm really content with the way it is. I think it'll show great in the quilt shop. So that's the end of this project. I will get it bound. If I get a chance before I take it to the shop, I'll take a picture of it and I'll post it on Instagram or Facebook or someplace where hopefully you're following me so that you can see it. I wanted to say thanks for stopping by and spending some time with me. I really do appreciate it. Please do leave comments below. I read everybody's comments. I don't always get a chance to respond to everybody, but I do read all of your comments, and I just so thoroughly enjoy doing that. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to me. And if you like this video and would like to see more like this, please do give me a thumbs up. Thanks so much for joining me, and have a great day. Bye.